complete pivot here. We go from talking about what's on your ballot in November to talking about what's between your ears. Look, y'all know about the partnership we have that I have with the folks over at NeuroJust. So every so often, I like to broaden out the story a little bit. I mean, there's only so much I can tell you in 60 seconds. So want to welcome to the studio Carter LeBlanc from NeuroJust and Tracie Ketchens, who is a patient at NeuroJust. Welcome. Bring that one way up closer to you.
Okay.
There we go. Welcome aboard. How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
We're great.
Glad to have you all in here. Carter, I appreciate you coming in. Saying about you.
I agree.
You're here to kind of fill in the gaps where we need technical information, but I'm here for Tracie's story today.
I love it.
So Tracie, as I know this is gonna be tough because when you're talking about anxiety and depression, there are sources of it.
Right.
And digging into those sources, it can hurt a little bit all over again. So I want you to tell your story as much as you're comfortable telling.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you guys the story about what brought me to NeuroJust and my journey to get there. It started 420 days ago. Our daughter was taken from us tragically. She was 16, and she went to spend the night with some friends, and a night of fun led to the house catching on fire where they were asleep. And everybody perished in the home but one child, and she got out the window. And my daughter was one of the kids that passed away. She didn't survive that fire. So this threw me into a deep depression, anxiety, PTSD, nightmares that were crippling. And so I'm doing psychiatry. I'm talking to my psychiatrist and my therapist. And they're talking to me twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just trying to keep me in between the ditches because I was struggling. I basically went to bed for 10 months and didn't get out of bed. I didn't bathe. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't cook for my kids. I didn't function.
Right.
I couldn't get past the fact my daughter was gone, and how am I going to raise the rest my children?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to get these kids raised? So I had enough fight in me to start searching for alternative therapy because the medication wasn't working. The nightmares was horrific to the point that I did a 5-day stay at St. Clair's to get on medication to stop the nightmares. My nightmares would freeze me in my bed, and I couldn't get up for the whole day. I would stay frozen in the bed.
I want to talk just a little bit about some of that therapy along the way, because part of this with NeuroJust and part of this when you're battling anxiety and depression is just the level of exhaustion that's in there. I don't think it can properly be, words can't describe how exhausted you must have been during that time, because it is constant. You cannot escape your own brain.
No. Mm-hmm. The amount of pain and the grief is so intense, and you just wait for a minute that you're going to have some relief, you know, and every now and then you get a little bit of relief. But I knew I just couldn't live in this fight or flight mode that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had to do something aggressive or I wasn't going to be here for my children.
Which is another very important part of the conversation. So do you mind if we dig in a little bit? And I'm not here to bash traditional forms of therapy. I'm not here to bash the prescription meds. They all serve their purpose and their role.
Absolutely.
But within, if you don't mind sharing this, like what was it about the, sitting down with a therapist that was, are you able to quantify what wasn't clicking?
Well, it's, you can only talk so much, and I just wasn't getting relief from the talk therapy.
Right.
And I found that my medication, I feel like it was resistant to my depression,
Yeah.
And so I had to do research. And so luckily I was on Facebook and I seen TMS and I started studying it. And I'm like, this might be for me. So I filled out the little questionnaire.
Right.
And before I know it, they're on the phone with me, you know?
And Carter, we are going to bring you in on for this right now. Tracie's story is, unique means one of a kind, but it's definitely a rarer occurrence.
Yeah.
To be sure, and an extreme one as well. That's a level of loss that triggers so much. But is her story in terms of like I tried the talk therapy thing. I tried the numbing of the pills and whatnot. Is that about the par for what gets people through the door with y'all?
Absolutely. Tracie's pain is uniquely tragic. And I remember the first time we met, and my heart was hurting after the consult, hearing your story. So on one level, it's very unique. But on another level, she's our typical patient.
Right.
Our typical patient has tried a lot of talk therapy, which, by the way, we're great fans of talk therapy.
Absolutely.
We love it, and we love the great therapists that are in our community. They've tried medication. Medication helps a lot of people. But when you've tried a lot of therapy, a lot of medication, that's when the mental health world considers you treatment resistant,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you do need to look at other options, such as what we offer at NeuroJust.
Let's go back to Tracie real quick. So you found NeuroJust on Facebook.
Yes.
You looked them up, and what did it take to cross that hump? Because when you talk about the traditional methods, when going to something that wouldn't be considered traditional, was there a level of fear or trepidation, or was there any hesitancy to cross that threshold?
Not for me.
Okay.
Because I was at the bottom,
Yeah.
and I had read the results and the numbers, and I knew that this was non-invasive, and I prayed over it, and I just knew it was the right thing for me, and everything just went smooth. And went in for my consultation. Next, I was in getting fitted for my little cap,
Right.
And within a week, I started door dashing.
No kidding.
I started door dashing.
How many sessions were in that week?
I probably did about 7.
Okay, so you were basically going every day?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to get some nuts and bolts of this,
Okay,
all right,
okay.
from a patient's perspective. Is you go in for how long is individual treatment?
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most patients, it's 10
All
to
right.
20 minutes.
10 to 20 minutes. And within that, I've got to ask the stupid questions. So you put the hat on your head, right?
He puts the hat
Well,
on.
okay. He puts the hat on. We're doing this professionally. Absolutely.
Yes.
Puts the hat on. What's going through, first time it went on, what's going through your mind at that time?
What is this going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
They're strapping this little cap on my head and doing it under the little chin. Your seat reclines. You've got this beautiful big screen TV with all of this scenery. It's so relaxing. I didn't get nervous.
Okay.
I was ready for relief.
Right. That's an important part of it. Absolutely. Now, once it started, what did it feel like?
A little bit of tickling.
Okay.
It's like somebody just kind of tapping on your head.
Okay. See, Jordan had told me it feels like a TENS machine, which
Yeah.
I love my TENS machine on my knee.
Mhm.
Anybody who's ever used a TENS machine.
It's like that.
Okay.
It tickles like that.
Okay. So but in pulses, right?
Impulses, yes.
And once it was over, like, what did you feel immediately afterwards? Like if after a week you were door dashing, when you walked out the first day, what was your takeaway?
It was just like I had just went in, and it was just a session, It was quick, and I was in and out,
How long before, like, you could tell the difference that it was going to stick?
Okay.
Like, you could walk out and feel like, oh, that was new, that was different, but the long-term effects, how long before that started to kick in?
You don't notice it daily,
Right.
okay? What one day you will notice, oh my God, I haven't had nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to take my nightmare medication. My nightmares have gone away.
Yeah.
And when I tell you they were horrific nightmares, they were. And now I don't take that nightmare medication, and I sleep through the night.
How many treatments did you go through?
I did 36.
36.
Yes, sir.
So that spanned a little bit, over 2 months?
Over the summer.
Okay. And where you are now, and I don't want to go all the way back into the
no.
emotional, but where you are now, are you able to process better and talk about your child a little on a better
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, I'm functioning better. I pick the kids up from school. I study wildlife. I'm studying to get my small wildlife permit. I do possums and squirrels.
Okay.
And I have all kinds of animals at my house.
We got to hope that this isn't across the streams with DoorDash, but okay.
Yes.
Sorry. No, this is not for joking. But once you finished your 36 sessions,
right.
The longevity of the effects of this, I mean, do you still have time where you might feel like you need a refresh, or has it just stuck?
So far, it's stuck. I feel like at some point I will have to go in for maintenance, and I look forward to that. I look forward to this being a tool in my bag of tricks that I can use for the rest of my life. For my next 50 years, I want to be able to have this available to me, because I have suffered with depression since I was 14. And then you get older, you get the anxiety, the PTSD from life struggles and
right.
things. And you have to be able to come back. And TMS has given me that.
You dropped something on me when we have 1 minute to go. And so I tell you what, you just mentioned the anxiety and depression since 14. I think that's an important part of this conversation as well.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, we got Your Money Now coming your way in less than a minute from right now. We're about 30 seconds away from checking Your Money Now. We'll check traffic one more time. On the back end of the break, we were supposed to talk about Elise Steele was struck for the Superdome. Hey, Elise Steele was struck for the Superdome. We could dive into that more tomorrow. I want to keep y'all around for one more segment because that you just opened up something brand new that I believe needs exploration. So y'all sit tight. We got about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes before we close out. Hand off to Moon Griffon. I wanted to keep Tracie and Carter in here with us. Tracie Ketchens is a patient over at NeuroJust, and of course, Carter LeBlanc is with NeuroJust. You mentioned something right before we went into break, Tracie, and it we almost had a button on the story, and then you just completely unpacked something else. You had mentioned that once you started down this path with therapy, the floodgates were open. You suffered from anxiety as early as 14 years old?
Yes, sir.
So get right up on that mic.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So your story from the last segment had so much to process.
Right.
How did you take processing all of that history to where you realized this tragic event really just opened the floodgates of everything else as well? I know I'm hitting you with a tough one on the way out.
Yeah, that is tough. Could you repeat that?
So if you had suffered from anxiety, from
right.
14 years old, the death of your daughter was, along with trying to process all of that and break out of the paralysis of that, the floodgates were open from everything else that had built up to that moment within your mind.
Right.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yes, it was a lot, and it broke me.
Mm-hmm.
That broke me. You go through a depression from 14 and you treat it like a diabetes because you take such good care of your mental health.
Right.
And something so horrific happens that it just,
and the reason I wanted to follow up with that is because if there's someone out there who's listening right now who is able to compartmentalize so many things,
right,
there's only so many compartments up there.
There are only so many.
You don't want to be at a place where you are fully mentally paralyzed as a result of it. I'm not talking about physically paralyzed. I'm talking about mentally and emotionally being trapped within your own mind. Carter, I'm glad we are using this last segment because we didn't get down to business, man. NeuroJust, you're on Bluebonnet Boulevard. NeuroJust.com is the website. NeuroJust. Let's talk a little bit about the business end. Insurance?
Yeah, that's one thing I really want people to know because there's many outlets in the mental health world that don't accept insurance, but we accept all insurances. We accept Medicare, Medicaid, the VA sends us people, Blue Cross, United, whatever you got, we accept it. We have a great insurance department that fights to get you approved. gives you all the information you need. We make it easy.
And as far as follow up, I mean, Tracie's all done with her 36. Y'all clearly stay in touch.
We do.
Absolutely.
We do. We absolutely do. We definitely follow up with our doctors. We have a plan and a process for that. And look, our goal is not to make somebody a patient for life.
Right.
We want to treat them. We want to send them on their way. But some people do need to come back, about 30%, and our arms are wide open for those folks.
Absolutely. It's NeuroJust.com is the website. Carter LeBlanc, Tracie Ketchens, thank y'all so much for coming in, for sharing your story. I know that wasn't easy, but for sharing your story, because there's important information within there. Thank y'all.
Thank you for
Brian.
having us.
All right.